On this week's show, we raise a glass to Squamish's first beer festival. Welcome to Go, only on Shaw TV. I'm your host, Vanessa Ybarra, and today we're celebrating one of the best things in life, beer. That's right, we're celebrating it in preparation for Squamish's first annual beer festival taking place July 11th. And the man sitting next to me is one of the main organizers, Scotty, who owns Scotty Liquor Store here in town. Scotty, would you agree there's nothing better than beer?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing, just making sure we're on the same page here. Yeah. So let's talk about, July 11th is the day of the festival. Yeah. But before that, I know Victoria was the first city to hold their own Canadian Beer Festival back in early 90s, 92. Been a while, but why the decision to bring one to Squamish this year?
Well, I think the main thing is these things, they usually happen over beers, right? When you're sitting around chatting with people and having a few beers and thinking, well, it'd be nice to have something like this in Squamish. So started talking with Kathleen Vandery and the owners of Howe Sound here, Leslie and Dave and Trevor McGee. Started talking about bringing a festival here to Squamish. Wouldn't that be fun? Mm-hmm. And we realized pretty early on that we needed a professional event planner to help us, and so that's where JP Tondreau came in and gave us some help, bringing in. He's done some great events like with Cirque du Soleil and some other big names. Wow. So bringing in someone like this to help bring an event to Squamish. So, amazing. I mean, you can just imagine standing out there and looking up at the chief and sunshine, good vibe, good music. And,
totally. It feels fitting for Squamish. It's hard to believe we haven't had one before.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's really catching on. So let's talk about that. Like you said, awesome people actually organizing the event. You have over 40 breweries taking part. Mm-hmm. Yeah, even all the way from California and Colorado, you're mentioning.
Right.
Yeah, tell us just kind of how's the day going to work, though?
So starting at noon, that's when we'll let our VIPs come in, and they'll get a little more of a personal time with the brewers. There won't be as big a crowds. They'll have more time to enjoy and maybe talk to the people behind the booths. Opening at 1 is when we'll let the general public in, and it's going to start getting a little more crowded, a little more animated. We're going to have some great live music from Wadasan, Whiskey Dicks, right here on the great stage at Pavilion. So that should be fun to get a little more animated and hopefully just out there having a good vibe.
As well as parties, it probably gets louder as the day goes on.
For sure. The tasting part towards the end, it's a little less about tasting than it is about just having fun and enjoying the sun. Yeah,
as you mentioned, it's downtown Squamish, so people get a ticket, obviously. How does it work? How many tastings can they have as part of that ticket?
So they get a ticket, and then they'll get 6 tokens with that ticket, and then if they want to have more than 6 tastes when they come in, 4-ounce tastes, we'll have booths available, or they can even buy extra tokens in advance online if they're sure that they're going to have more than 6.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So as we mentioned, craft beer is really catching on. You said off camera around 2011 or so is when you've really seen it catch on. Yeah. What's kind of led to that? Do you think about 4 years ago?
I think that the big thing is the taste. I think that's really what it is. It's tasty. It's just better, right? I mean, you take my wife for example. She just always thought beer was gross. Like she probably had it like 6 times in her life. And now she has a more developed palate than me. She's drinking, imperial stouts and stuff that even is a little intense for my palate. So I think it's just more about it being tasty. And then people want to support local businesses. They want to support like things that are made with passion and care. That's right. Yeah.
And we'll see how you actually make that beer here at Howe Sound. Frank's going to show us as well later on. Awesome. And we'll talk to Scotty also about where you can go to get tickets for today's festival or July 11th festival. Okay, throwing to our first story of the day here on Go See the Sky. Along with beer, you can't get more Canadian than a lumberjack competition. In this first story, we head down to North Vancouver to find out why life is better wearing plaid.
Protective glasses? Check. Earmuffs? Check. Start up the chainsaw, and it's go time. This is Sterling Hart, the current national champion of steel timber sports. In other words, he's Canada's #1 lumberjack.
With the Steel Timber Sports Series, there's 6 events. There's 3 chopping, the standing, underhand, and springboard, and the 3 sawing events, the single saw, the stock saw, and then the hot saw, everybody's favorite. Based on your ranking, when you do the event, you get a certain amount of points, and whoever comes up with the most points after all 6 of those events will be crowned the new Canadian champion.
When Sterling isn't competing, he performs in the Lumberjack show at Grouse Mountain.
It's not enough just to be good at it, you have to love it. You have to be thinking about it 24 hours a day. Like when you're not training, you want to be training, and when you're not competing, you want to be competing, and I think that's what really pushes you to that next level.
Coming from a long line of lumberjacks, his dad strapped him to a tree at the age of 4, and Sterling's been hooked ever since.
You really feel like you're following in your father's footsteps. You see a lot of the best athletes, their parents also did the sport, so you grow up with a love of it from a young age. I think that's a big part of becoming a champion in your sport, is the passion.
Sterling's longtime friend and coworker, Scott Thompson, says his lumberjack abilities come naturally.
Just to see him come up with his climbing, basically just he's on top of the world, and it's really neat to see. And then now the wood chopping and sawing and everything with the Steel Series is it's really good to see him come and not just, be satisfied with that one thing, but he just kind of strives for the top of everything that he does.
Sterling Hart truly is all heart when it comes to being a lumberjack. It's that passion he wants to share with a new generation.
Becoming a cool sport to get a part of, and we really want to push that movement forward and get more young people into it. And if we get that going, get more competitions, more interest in the sport, it's just better for everybody, and it'll keep the sport that I love going for years to come.
With axe in hand, Sterling will be heading to nationals in Niagara Falls this July in hopes of defending his title. I'm Katie Johnson in North Vancouver for Go on Shaw TV.
If you missed this year's Lumberjack show, be sure to check out their next one taking place in October on Grouse Mountain. If you want to learn more about other events they offer on Grouse, you can visit their website at grousemountain.com. Okay, well, after a day of hiking, of course, nothing better than sampling some beers. And joining me right now is head brewer here at Howe Sound Brewing, Franco. Franco, so let's talk about the different types of beers you offer in general here at Howe Sound. How many do you currently have going?
Right now we have about 16 different flavor beers. Anything from light to dark, to hoppy, spicy, citrusy, and so on.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And as we were talking earlier, it's really kind of increased the popularity of craft beer. That amount, has that kind of increased every year of what you offer?
Pretty much. We tend to, we have a good sales team that's out there in the market, and they kind of give us some advice on what's out there and what's trending, and we try to do a variety of different type of beers just to stay fresh and stay in the news, so to speak.
It is very trendy right now, as you mentioned.
That's right.
Craft beer for sure. So if people come to the festival on the 11th, we've got 2 beers here at least that will be featured, including the first one, Super Jupiter. That's quite the name. Talk us through this one.
Super Jupiter is a ISA, so it's a sessionable IPA. The word session comes from England, where it's a lightly alcohol beer. So you can drink a whack of them. And this is more of a typical India Pale Ale, but just slightly lighter in alcohol.
Okay. And light or dark, what's more popular these days?
It depends on the person. It is summertime, so you do tend to sell more lighter beers. But our stouts and our dark browns also do well. So yeah.
Okay, so it's got the name. Let's see if it's got an amazing taste here.
You get kind of citrusy, fruity flavor.
That's nice. Smooth is the
Smooth,
first thing that
yeah.
comes to mind. Yeah,
Cool,
no
yeah.
real bite to it. That one could go down easily. Dangerous. So lead us through the second one. I'm a fan of dark beers. What's this one?
This is one of our classic beers that we started with. It's called the Rail Ale Nut Brown Ale. Just an easy drinking dark ale. You should get hints of chocolate and licorice, and just an easy drinking smooth dark ale.
Easy to go down. Okay, we'll see here. Oh, yeah, that is really nice. It's a bit not burned, but it's got a nice little finish to
That's
it.
right, yeah. Sure, cool.
And the third pairing, another person can try if they're at the festival. Obviously, these are seasonal offerings here, blueberry. But first of all, let's just talk about that. That's awesome. You offer a different brew every year.
That's right.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about that.
It's just a program we started a few years ago. We'd come up with a different beer every 4 to 5 weeks or 6 weeks. And now it's progressed into actual seasonal beers, where we do different seasonal beers as opposed to the same seasonal beer every year. This year happens to be the blueberry. Last year we did this thing called 4-Way Fruit Ale, where we used passion fruit, raspberry, mango, and raspberry in a beer.
Yeah.
Similar beers, but a different fruit beer. We have a King Heffy, it's called. It's a German-style wheat beer. Slightly stronger, about 7.5%, but you get the big banana clove flavor. So some people like that. We do a licorice stout. We do all kinds of beers.
Yeah,
So.
and really neat breweries like yours also will see the festival. They also support kind of community events through their beer. What are some events that you have offered some of your beer as part of it, including the blueberry?
Well, we do one for the Test the Metal every year. We call it the Metal Man beer. It's a copper ale. It's a nice, easy drinking, smooth ale. We did one for the St. John Baptiste Day a couple years ago. Yeah, so we try to do get involved with the community as much as possible and help them out. Yeah.
Beer brings people together for
That's
sure.
right, that's right.
On that note, it's so funny, you look at menus and stuff. Is there any flavor that won't go well with beer?
Yeah, I'm sure there's so much experimentation out there. There seems to be no rules anymore. Anything goes. I've seen beers with spruce tips, echinacea, but there are standard beers like the classic Belgian beer, which uses orange peel and coriander.
Okay.
Really goes nice. Orange, chocolate, coffee porters, for example, so you use coffee in the beer. Yeah, so certain styles of beer, go well with certain flavors and aromas.
Sky's the limit, it seems, for sure.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Franco. More with Franco later on after the break. We're going to tour the back of the shop here, the other portion, how they actually make the beer. We're throwing to our next story here on Go. Would this be the 50th anniversary of Canada's Maple Leaf flag? Pemberton crafters were asked to make a unique version of the flag. As you see in this next story, there was no shortage of creativity. For 5-year-old Anya, it doesn't get much better than finger painting with your best friends by your side.
We were painting our hands and painting our fingers and doing dots all around our hand. Pretty messy. It's fun because sometimes you can color it.
With this year marking the 50th anniversary of Canada's Maple Leaf flag, the 3 girls are just some of the kids here at the Pemberton Children's Centre, along with over 100 other kids and adults in the community, called upon to make their own unique version of the flag to showcase at the local community centre on Canada Day.
You can see some of the very unique creations here with beans and feathers and glitter. We're just about to receive a few more from the daycare, so we're really excited to see what they've come up with. Working together on a project and it's for your country is really neat. We did it with my son last night and we were singing the national anthem, and it kind of just gets exposure about the country that they live in and everything they celebrate.
For these girls, the best part about calling our great nation home is
The special birds singing to us. You get to go swimming. I like the lakes.
And while some may argue these tykes are too young to understand or portray much meaning behind their pieces of work, perhaps you should take another listen.
I like how I made it because it's fun.
That's right, fun. Whether they're waving them in the air or sticking into a mound of sand, each of these flags, scribbles, and markings is a celebration of an early time, a time when for most Canadians all you do is dream and have fun.
We play and our mom reads stories to us. We play hide and seek.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A ballerina. Scientist.
With some of these kids' dreams being the next Disney princess.
They want to be Elsa because she looks pretty. She's strong.
You see, for these 3 to 5-year-olds, they live in a country where one day they can be whatever they want to be. A scientist, dancer, a princess, the sky's the limit.
Canada's an amazing country. Just raising my own children here, there's so many programs in place and there's just so much support for kids, and it's a wonderful country.
Whether these girls and the rest of their playmates end up pursuing their larger-than-life dreams is up to them. Will they incur more worries as they get older? Sure. Will there be hardships? Of course. But somewhere along the way, these kids, along with the rest of the Canada Day participants, will look back at their flags and realize it isn't about singing the national anthem every day. It is about being able to recite all 22 prime ministers. It's remembering and appreciating a privileged time when your only care was playing the sandbox or kicking the ball around with your best friends. No fear looming above, no hunger gurgling in their bellies, just a bunch of kids having fun. And Canada? That's a beautiful thing.
Happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day.
In Pemberton, I'm Vanessa Ybarra for Go On Shaw TV. Coming up,
it took a good 20, 30 people to sell as much as he could. It's been tough, but I know he really wished he was here.
turning pain into purpose, how one Easter Seals team is keeping its team captain's memory alive. Welcome back from the break. We're here on Go celebrating this year's first annual Squamish Beer Festival taking place July 11th. And one of the brew pubs taking part in the festival is Howe Sound Brewing. Right. Joined with Franco right now. We've sampled some beers, feeling pretty good. Well, let's talk about the other component, Franco. We're in the back here, how you actually make the beer. Yep. So kind of take us through the process, starting with the first machine.
Sure. Given this brewery, the grain room is upstairs. So the barley comes down and it gets mixed with water in the mash tun. Essentially, it's like a big porridge. It takes about 2 hours. Once it's done, you get this really thick, syrupy liquid called the wort. It goes to the linkage system and into the kettle.
So this is the second process.
That's right. So because we like our beer sweet, this we add the second ingredient, which are the hops. And the more hops you add, the more bitter the beer. So the blueberry beer you tasted earlier maybe takes 1 kilo of hops given our recipe. The IPAs take anywhere from 10 to 16 kilos, given the recipe. So it gives you an idea how much hops you actually really have to use to get that big bitterness and aroma.
And it looks complicated, we were talking earlier, but you assured me, which I still find hard to believe, that beer making is fairly simple.
It is, but to be consistent, that's the key. The beer has to taste the same way as it does today, as it did 6 months ago, as it will 6 months from now. We hired a lab assistant this year to more focus on yeast management and so on, because that's critical.
Right.
So,
people order beer, they expect it, like you said,
that's
consistent year after year.
That's right.
Okay, and the most pivotal part, obviously, it wouldn't be beer without the third portion here, which actually turns into alcohol.
That's right. So once the beer leaves the kettle, it's kind of mission critical. People think we have this really sexy job. We spend a lot of time cleaning, and it's a good brewing process and technique. So once it leaves the kettle, into the fermenters, and that's where we add the third ingredient, which is the yeast. So behind us, we went from starch to sugar. Here we're going from sugar to alcohol.
Sugar to alcohol.
It takes about 6 days, and once it's ready to go, we do a couple more tests, and then it goes downstairs into production.
My goodness. And is that also, you mentioned, what makes the flavors for some of the beers, like the banana one you're mentioning?
That's right. That's essentially the yeast that gives it those characteristics of banana and clove. It's a very traditional German yeast that we use for that beer.
And as we mentioned, beer making is fairly simple, but is that also, there's been, machinery is getting more simple, basic? Has there been many improvements over the years that have made it simple, or has it always just kind of been the same process?
No, I think it's more of a question of size. The bigger you get, the bigger the machinery. Again, that's the biggest concern for most breweries. Looking for more space, essentially.
Yeah, awesome process to see. And what's neat about the festival on the 11th is people can actually, when they're buying the beer, most of the people selling it also make it. So are you gonna have like a tent set up where people can kind of talk to the brewmasters?
That's right. I'm sure every exhibitor is gonna have probably a brewer there. So it's cool to talk to the guys. And I'm sure there's going to be a tent there where a bunch of brewers get together and talk, so that should be fun.
You're a pretty approachable bunch, so.
That's right.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's go to our third story of the day here on Go. When it comes to fundraisers, Easter Seals has some of the most passionate people around. As we found this next story, we learned how one man is using a personal tragedy to give back even more.
All right, everybody, stretch out. Let's see some stretching.
Armed in patriotic gear and smiles, Jason and his team of family and friends begin to warm up for the Easter Seals All Camp Challenge.
He's showing us all up.
For this North Delta truck driver, giving back has become a way of life. After donating all of his birthday money to Connect's Place at the age of 7, as well volunteering for numerous community events during his teens, for Jason, there was a natural pull towards Easter Seals.
My mom's work, they worked with the Easter Seals for a couple years, and I went to the 24-hour relay for a couple years.
Yeah, 4 of the kids! 4 of the kids!
From there, I said, well, I'd like to help those kids, and I think we should make a team, and I think we could do it. We always had a theme every year. We were Scottish golfers before, and we've had other Ginger Ninjas one year. We all chose Canada this year.
All right, go!
Since starting in 2012, the group's raised over $20,000 to help send over 900 children with disabilities to Easter Seals Camp Squamish each summer, with today's activities simply a celebration of their months of hard work. However, while laughter remains a constant thread among this group, this year does hold a deeper meaning for the Canadian crew, with Jason's dad, Gerhard, having passed away from brain cancer in January.
That was probably the hardest moment for my family, because yeah, the three of us were really close. A great salesman, probably the best salesman I've ever seen. Everywhere he went, go out for dinner at a restaurant, table next to you, hey guys, you interested in helping out a charity? Everywhere he went, he would sell raffle tickets.
With such determination, it came as no surprise when Gerhard managed to raise over $8,000 alone last year, breaking the team's all-time record. Now left with a few months to live, his family sat down with him to ask his last wish.
I'd said to him, should we be focusing on giving back to cancer? And he said, no, you give back to the children. So again, it's coming back to the children. I guess it's just they're more helpless. And it, you know, if we live to 50, 60, older, we've had a nice life. And some of these children, they only have a few years.
But what is the only official bilingual province? No, New Brunswick.
And so the team sought out to beat, or at least attempt to beat, last year's total.
It was just something that we had said we really wanted to do. He laughed when we told him, because he said, the two of you can't beat me.
Oh. Perhaps, but at least they could try. Over the next few months, Jason and his friends held numerous fundraisers and events raising money, with even the smallest of donations for BC kids helping fill their hearts once again as well. Along with managing to beat their dad's record, the team raising over $10,000, Jason was also named this year's top Easter Seals fundraiser.
It took a good 20, 30 people to sell as much as he could. It took a sales force to get what one person could do. Come on, Jordan, whoa, yeah! I think he'd be really happy. It's been tough, but I know he really wished he was here. Ryan, don't trip on your flag, don't trip on your flag.
Gerhard would have loved to see this, but it makes me feel so good for the years we have been donating to Easter Seals and now see how they have it set up for the children. It is so fabulous. It is so touching.
With the family having also donated all funeral proceeds towards the camp, seeing and making memories of the place closest to their dad's heart makes Easter Seals that much more special, with the main focus to this day on the kids.
Kids is, that's the future. They're just starting out in life. Just help them out, make them have, every kid should have a good time. It's just human nature. I think everybody should just give back.
Thanks to teams like Jason's, this year's Easter Seals raised over $174,000 to send BC's kids with disabilities to camp this summer. Way to go, team. Well, while I enjoy my nice dark ale here on the patio, let's start our next story here on Go. In the Sea to Sky region, we live amongst the mountains. They inspire our art, music, and sports. In this next story, we meet two women delving deeper into the stories behind the people who choose to work, live, and play in the mountains.
Mountain Story was really created to evolve dialogue about mountain culture beyond adrenaline and accolades. Could you speak a little bit about what courage meant to you at that point in your life and perhaps what it means to you now?
It's an interview series in front of a live audience in Whistler, BC. And it's also an online immersive storytelling series that tells some really remarkable stories of mountain adventure and mountain culture, highlighting transformation and the passion that is behind some of those stories. The inspiration to create Mountain Story came from an experience I had in Hawaii, where somebody was interviewing an iconic surfing personality. I was really just intrigued by the story. And when I came back to Whistler, I started thinking how that would work here. There really is a huge space for telling stories of the mountains and the people who are kind of inspired and transformed by mountain culture.
Josh, I want to start by talking about the word freedom. Can you give us a bit of insight into what freedom means for you?
Fully loaded question, that's for sure.
My job is to encourage these amazing people, to share some of these untold human stories that we don't hear very often. I don't think they get a lot of opportunity to share the things that exist in their life that allow them to accomplish these amazing feats. So often they just get to share what their amazing feats are.
Nahid and I have been very good friends for a number of years. We met through mutual friends in Vancouver.
You spent quite a bit of your youth racing, and racing very successfully.
She's a former pro skier, so she really has all the experience to bring to an interview and a discussion. And she's also just very personable, and she's a natural.
The opportunity to work with Beth has been amazing. We complement each other very well in what we do. Beth is very detail-oriented, very dedicated, very committed, a little bit more fly by the seat of my pants. And so together I think we make a great team in that way.
I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I've produced and directed my own films. And I've also worked in the event world, so I kind of bring my experiences with events and my experiences with filmmaking together into one project that is Mountain Story. The community in Whistler and Pemberton have been really very receptive to what we're doing. We've had to really lean on friends and colleagues who have expertise, and they've given generously. When we talk about it, consistently people are super excited and want to participate either as audience or as an interview guest, or to support us in some way. We've had incredible support.
As soon as we give them the opportunity to share their human story behind the amazing things they've done, they're so excited and so willing to share those stories. I'm completely amazed and inspired by what these people have to share.
To view all the mountain stories, be sure to log online to their website at mtnstory.com. Okay, Scotty, thank you so much for joining me today, telling me all about the festival coming up.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, just to recap once again to our viewers, so happening July 11th from 1 to 6 downtown Squamish here if they want to get tickets. So let's just talk about, though, also, like we mentioned, it's going to be a good party.
Yeah.
So obviously you offer a shuttle service for people.
Absolutely, that's really important to us. If you're coming down from Whistler or from Vancouver, we have very affordable shuttles from both locations. They'll bring you in here, let you have time to enjoy some beers and get you back safe.
Nice, awesome. And obviously people want to buy tickets for the festival. I know they're selling out fast, but where could people go for that?
SquamishBeerFest.com. We're selling them right here at the Howe Sound Brewery at Scotty's Liquor Store, downtown Squamish. In Whistler, you can get them at the Blackcomb Liquor Store, right across from the Chateau Whistler.
Okay, lots of spots for sure.
Yeah.
And you're offering an awesome seminar, I know, the night before, which is cool. People can learn how to make beer before they actually come and taste it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so John Follensby from Sea to Sky Brewers organized this, and so if you're into learning about brewing and brewing it yourself, you can come down for this workshop on the Friday night before. Right here at the Howe Sound Brew Pub.
Yeah, awesome. A full experience of the festival. So and support local beer, we should say.
Very local, yeah.
There's one thing you take away. Okay, that's it for today's show here on Go. Thank you so much, Scotty, for joining me.
My pleasure.
If you'd like to view another story we did, an awesome piece about a year ago here at Howe Sound Brewing and how they also make their beer, aside from what we showed you today, you can visit our YouTube channel. The link is on the bottom of the screen there. And of course, send us your pictures enjoying Squamish's Beer Festival on the 11th. You can reach out to us on Facebook and on Twitter. What do you say, Scotty? Should we cheers to end the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
It only seems fitting.
Yeah.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, thank you.
See you next time.